Bows and bow tie. I'm trying to get comfortable. Yeah. Oh, what's happening right now? Please, people, stop texting me and stuff. Oh my goodness. All right. Um. So yeah, I just want to talk about this topic for a second. What does it really mean to be covered by your husband? I just want to say for the record, I'm looking at my lips. My lips are lipping right now. They're cute. I know. All right. So look, the topic that you saw the title. I will upload this thumbnail later. And it basically, I want to talk about covering. I just want to talk about covering for a second. And so the way I'm going to use one word, and then I'll just give a couple of points that I wrote down today. This won't be long, but just hang in there with me. I want to talk about when we talk about covering, I liken it to security. Security. Let me say security. When your husband is providing cover. Now, for those of you and many times that women bring all forms of it, okay? Yeah, emotional, spiritual, sexual, financial. We love security, right? And there's biblical and even just this, we talk about submission, what it is, and a lot of people not that too much. Its word I would like to use would be the word security. Now, let me just break down a few things. I'm going to start with the okay. I don't know what's happening right now, but this is a whole situation. This is so tacky. I don't know why it keeps cutting out on me. So I want to get back into the whole. I mentioned that one of the first ways that women like to be covered is emotional security, emotional support. And the way I look at it is when you are in a covenant or a relationship or whatever, you want to be able to feel as if you can be, when I say emotional, it's not like every time something happens, it's like, no, but there has to be space. You have to have a safe space where you can feel vulnerable with whoever you're with. Okay. You want to be able to feel vulnerable. You got to have a safe space. You want to be with somebody or you want your significant other to be empathetic and willing to listen. You want someone who's going to provide comfort at times. Okay? So when we talk about covering from a significant other, I'm speaking in terms of my husband, you want someone who's going to be able to be that for you. And it's not that you can't help your like do other things for your husband. But I'm talking right now as a woman who should be covered by her significant other. For me, would be my husband. The reason why I've been saying significant others because many of you are still dating, right? You're in relationships, but you're not in a marital covenant. So that's why I've been saying significant other. But ultimately, you want to be um, emotionally secure. You want someone to provide that kind of security, that emotional support. So you have to have a safe space, right? You want somebody that's going to allow you to feel safe. Okay. So let's start with that. I'm going to go with the next one, which seems to be a big one right now. We're going to talk about financial security. Now, I recognize that not everybody is going to end up with somebody who is a millionaire, a baller, okay? But what you want is for someone who is going to still provide. Now, provision doesn't necessarily mean someone who is, you know, making $500,000 a year or something like that. But you want somebody who's going to actually provide provisions, who's going to get up there and go support you and your family. You want someone who's going to provide a level of stability. You want someone who's willing to share his resources. Now, a lot of times people will say you're a gold digger and this, that, and the other. Let them say it. The people who say it are those who cannot provide. Let's be clear. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing you should be looking for, but at the end of the day, women typically have to surrender careers and their bodies, etc. A lot of times, even some of their aspirations, at least put them on hold. I don't necessarily believe that you can have it all at once. I do think that there are seasons for having it all. But when you are in a situation where now you are making yourself financially vulnerable, right? Professionally vulnerable, even physically vulnerable when you are with child, stuff like that, you need somebody who is willing to provide provisions, even if it's temporary until you can go back to caring for yourself. What I'm saying is, you want financial security, financial covering. I dropped my favorite lip gloss, I think. No, I did not. I have got to get, I felt it. I felt it on the side. Ooh, ooh. Okay, I'm just going to wait until I get home. So you want someone who's going to cover you even financially. Like I said, you want someone who's going to make sure he's going to provide resources, food, shelter, etc. Even if you're building it together, he needs to be a stable provider, whatever that looks like. And not all providers are making $300,000 a year. We know what the average income is for men who look like me, right? Now we need to get that up, because in this economy, that's not going to cut it. It's like 40 something thousand dollars a year. That's not going to cut it. Nevertheless, you want somebody who's willing to go out there and bust his hind parts to provide for you. And when providing isn't just money, it's 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 resources. It's access to medical care. I mean, if you're holding it, that's fine, right? Um, it's access to time. It's access to food and shelter and all of this stuff like that. Women want security. So when we talk about covering, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. We can move on to the next one. Now there's the physical. There's nothing like knowing that when you are maybe in need of emotional support, pairing that with physical support. There's nothing like knowing that you can get that hug in his arms, or knowing that if someone is going to besmirch your name or dishonor you and the family, or bring harm or try to bring harm to your family, that he's not willing to provide a physical presence. Okay? You want someone, now that doesn't mean everybody needs to be a freaking Viking, but you want someone who's going to be willing to protect you physically. You don't want someone who's not going to try. Like, look, not all men are created equal. Some men are going to be bigger, faster, stronger. But when it comes to you and your children, you want someone who's willing to be that barrier, that hedge of protection. Okay? Women want physical security. There's a reason why people want somebody tall like a hamster, right? Not everybody's going to be 6 feet tall or anything like that. But you do want someone who's willing. I don't care if he's 5'3". You want somebody who's willing to protect you and defend you, whether he takes a butt whooping or not. Now, I really wanted to say something else. Doesn't matter. You want physical security. You want to know when you step out with your significant other that he's got you. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this is what I say. Intellectually, you want, and that's probably not the right word, but you want somebody who's going to support you. All right. You want someone who's willing to have you as a partner in the relationship. You're not a subservient a minion. You want someone who values your opinions and your thoughts. If I'm thinking biblically, I would say you want someone who's a virtuous woman. Proverbs 34, I believe. Okay? You want someone who's intelligent, who's going to also manage the money correctly. You want someone who's going to provide that sounding board. You want somebody who has common sense. You want someone who has the ability to be strategic. You want someone also who can be nurturing. You want all of that. The point is you want someone who's going to consider your thoughts and opinions, who's going to give you that the opportunity. I shouldn't say the opportunity as if you need permission, but you want somebody who values what you also are bringing to this relationship. Women see things with a different eye. Women will do things like, hey, I can help you multiply here. Have you considered this? There are times when, like, men may not be, men can read the room too, but there are times when they are not picking up on nuances, and women will say, hey, did you notice X, Y, and Z? You want someone who does not think that he has to diminish his significant other. That's also covering. When you feel like your voice is being heard, but he's like, you know what, hey, I value you. Here, I'm going to provide this safe space for you to voice your opinion too. And I'm going to consider it. We're going to ping pong back and forth. We're going to provide our selling points on, why we should be moving in a particular direction. You want to, you want that person who's covering you to say, hey, I want you to feel safe enough to say, hey, no, I don't think you need to do this, cat, right? Like, this isn't it. This isn't it. You want someone who says, hey, you know what? I want you to share in these responsibilities of some of this decision making. What are your thoughts? You want someone who's going to value your intellectual capacity. And it may not look like ones and zeros. It may look like something else, right? That's part of the covering, is making sure you feel secure so that you can provide that input. You can get that physical security, financial security, that emotional security. Let's move on to the next one. You want someone that's going to cover you. When you feel covered, you feel safe that you can still be the individual. You want that self autonomy. You want someone who's going to support you professionally too, should you choose to be a professional. Because the fact of the matter is, not all women are going to be stay-at-home moms. I've been on both sides of the coin. You want someone who says, you know what, I value you too. What are your hopes? What are your dreams? And you want someone who says, like, hey, if you guys come to a decision, and he's like, you know what, or maybe she's like, you know what, maybe not right now, but I think down the road, on the horizon, this is what I want to pursue. You want that person that's going to make you feel secure enough that you can still go be whatever version of yourself you need to be. He's going to encourage you on your dreams. He's going to acknowledge who you are as a woman, who you are individually. He's going to support your personal growth, right? I remember, it may have been a year or two ago, my husband, it came out of nowhere. He made the comment to me, you know, I watched you over these last few years make a lot of changes in your career. And you know what? I'm really proud of you because I know it was hard. You suffered basically setbacks and you've been through a lot. And I didn't always understand it. But I want you to know I'm really proud of what you're doing, where you came from. I had to make some changes within my career field that were tough. I had to put in some time um, and dedicate myself to becoming the professional I wanted and needed to be. Not that I wasn't professional before, but the type of thing I wanted to do required me to be uncomfortable. And in doing that, it was stressful for me because at the time I had put the things that I wanted to achieve on hold. Not so much that they were on hold, but I wasn't pursuing them actively because I didn't have the bandwidth. But when he made that comment to me, Not that I necessarily needed him to say it, but it meant a lot to me because you know what he did? He was letting me know that he's like, I see you. I see you. I acknowledge what you're doing, and kudos to you. I'm really proud of you. And it still meant a lot to me. Like I said, it wasn't like I was seeking his validation because, I'm still going to do me. But the point I'm making was he was, he's allowed space for me to pursue certain things. I had to make job changes and all kinds of stuff. But when we talk about covering, it's acknowledging who you are as a woman. And it's okay to say, you know what, maybe today I take a back seat because today is your time to shine, right? And it's not that I need to compete with my husband or anything like that. I don't want to compete. But when there were certain things that I needed to do that I wanted to accomplish, and there was space allowed for that. I'm going to say this one last thing. We're going to talk about communication. You want to be covered so that there's space allowed for you to communicate. Not that I got a mother may I. Let's be clear. We're not talking about mother may I. But when someone is covering you and you feel safe enough to be emotionally vulnerable and all these other things, but even like how you're communicating, to be able to speak honestly, even when it's not comfortable, even if it hurts, you want to have a safe space where you can dissent. And it's not, let me tell you, it's not always comfortable, but you want to be able to dissent. You want to be able to say, I'm not happy with this, or this is where I need you to step up, or we shouldn't do this, right? You want to be able to have these open discussions. You want to trust that you can be vulnerable. You want to trust that you can challenge your husband to be even better, right? When you see potential in certain things. Now, don't get me wrong, my husband has always been, at least as far as in relation to me, he has always been intentional. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew where he wanted to go. But every once in a while, I had to provide a perspective on some things and push maybe in a different direction. But he's always had a plan. He's always been intentional. He's always achieved, right? Ultimately, when I get back to the whole thing about covering, it's all about security. Being secure enough to communicate, being secure in your femininity. There were times when I took a back seat, right? Because he was doing what he needed to do. There were times when I was, the back seat. I was the passenger. Well, I'm always the passenger, princess. Let's be clear. But like, there are times when I had to um, take a seat, right? And I needed to be a helpmate and supporter of him. And there were times when he was like, "Okay, in order for her to be healthy and happy, she has to do these things or achieve these things too." Covering is protection. It's a form of protection, right? Making sure that you protect your significant other in public and in private, allowing space for people to feel vulnerable and you be that hedge of protection. When you think about biblically how like God wants men to treat their wives, treat them as they want you to treat the church and all these other things, and then the wives can submit, right? You know, I said this a long time ago. I don't care what woman is out there that says I ain't ever submit to a man. Let me tell you something. Women, generally speaking, will, and I say this with earmarks, submit when they feel safe and secure. If you're handling your business on all fronts, most women are like, you got it. You got it. I don't need to work as hard because you got it. Okay. So anyway, that's just my take on uncovering. I look at it as security. You women women want all forms of security. But there's responsibility. Like when men are in these positions where they are providing the covering, there's responsibility that comes with making sure how that your woman is being handled. Now, let's just, for the record, when I talk about covering, I'm not talking about like I'm like this. Well, damsels are single women, right? But I'm not like a damsel in distress or anything like that, right? I have my own career going on, and it's not that I love working. I like having my own space, my own autonomy, making my having my own income, right? And I know people probably will take umbrage and say, like, what do you mean your own income? It's supposed to be income. It's coming in the house. Of course it is. But I like knowing that I'm capable. I like knowing that, like, I'm contributing to um, what we want to provide for our children down the road. And should something happen to my husband, you know, I can actually support him. Not that he's looking for me to support him, but, should something happen, I know I can take care of myself. I know my children wouldn't have to worry about, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen with mom. All right. I'm just going to leave it at that. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you're watching this is a great opportunity for you to go ahead and hit the thumbs up because I'm amazing in every way and can do no wrong. Okay? Go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And then you need to go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you actually think about it. All right. And hopefully you enjoyed this enough that maybe you'll come back and subscribe. All right? Okay? Have a good evening. I will catch you on the next video.